Hello, everyone. Good to be with you as always as we get your weekend started here tonight. Mike Corey, Dallin Cuff at our home away from home, Richmond, Virginia. We always enjoy doing this matchup, don't we?
Fourth straight one of these we've got to do. The privilege to be here to see it again. The rivalry means so much to these folks here. This atmosphere is so difficult to win in. And for Richmond to do that, Tyler Burton's going to have to have a huge day. 6 turnovers in that game. He has to elevate his play just like he did in the second half against St. Louis. He made 4 threes. They came back to win midweek in an impressive win, 81-78. Can they replicate that here tonight? And on the other side, it is Ace Baldwin's team. He is the straw that stirs the drink for the Rams. Everybody knows that. But he has help every game, and Jaden Nunn stepped up. Mike, this is almost a perfect game. 31 points, 12 of 13, 7 for 7 from 3 as they dominated St. Joe's and Philly.
Yeah, he told me before the game he had a high school game maybe once before. We had 42 points. He hit 6 3-pointers. He said, I said, was there anything, though, where you were 12 of 13, that efficient? And he said, no. That's pretty amazing.
Forget Billy Hoyle. He was really in the zone tonight.
Well, that's the thing. This Rams team has multiple players that can go out there and get you 20, 30 on a given night. And they got it again from him. We're getting set for this one here. Our officials, Bert Smith, Lee Cassell, and Clarence Armstrong on week 7 of 8 in this Atlantic 10 Friday night showcase.
It's important to see how they guard big Neil Quinn in the interior. He picks up a foul on DeLoach. They went one-on-one. And if they can play through him, some of the guys call Big Potato. Yeah. Cause some problems for folks. And that's, if they get to the free throw line, that would really help their offense if they could get into a one-on-one situation early.
First matchup between these two was back on January 20th. 74-62. VCU win across town in the Robins Center, the home of the Richmond Spiders. Here's Tyler Burton. Nice take. Now let's get to your VCU starting 5 here tonight.
At the 1, we have Ace Baldwin from Baltimore, Maryland. At the 2, we have me, J9 from Flint, Michigan. At the 3, we have Mr. Slick, Nick Kern from St. Louis, Missouri. At the 4, we have Mr. Brandon Johns Jr. from Lansing, Michigan. At the 5, we have Jalen DeLoach from the Pope, Mr. Savannah, Georgia.
Slick Nick Kern. I like that. I like when they work in the nicknames. First possession for Richmond. Great finish by Burton. Help was a little late getting there by Ace Baldwin. That's the kind of start that Richmond needs right now. To get some easy baskets. Turnovers are critical. Something that VCU has struggled with on offense. We know they force a ton on defense, top 5 in the nation, but they also turn it over at a high rate.
Richmond got off to a really good start in the first meeting against this VCU team as they led early as Quinn gets heavily defended down low in the block, and here comes Nunn. Takes it in, and he scores it for the Rams.
That is not the best transition defense you're ever going to see. You got to stop the ball, and I know Matt Grace is used to retreating. He has to step up and address the ball because nobody else did. There was not great communication by the Spiders as they transitioned back after the missed shot. And Nunn did a good job of, once he beat Jai Bailey, his head is up, he's looking, assessing, nobody's stepping up. If you're Grace there, you saw Grace keep retreating, you're gonna have to attack the ball at some point in time. I know he's not used to that. You mentioned the end of the last game, great hustle by Baldwin, kicked out by Quinn. It was a masterclass defensively at VCU. The second half of that game, the Spiders did not have a field goal the final 9.5 minutes. They cut it to 5. The crowd got in there. It seemed like it was going to be a fight to the finish, one of those classic rivalry games we've seen, especially in that building. And VCU just took it from them. So the Spiders need to find a way to get good shots and good shot selection early in the game and knock them down.
Baldwin. This is on the jumper. It's Spiders' possession. Let's take a look at the Richmond starting 5 here in this one tonight.
Starting tonight for the Spiders. At guard, we got number 4, Jai Bailey. At the other guard, we got number 22, the Goose, Andre Gustafson. At forward, we got number 3, Tyler Burton. At the other forward, we got myself, number 15, Matt Grace. Then at center, we got number 32, big man Neil Quinn.
Grace has it right now for the Spiders. Checked by DeLoach. Here's Gustafson. Shot clock is down to 4. Burton. Gustafson for Quinn. He gets it off in time, and it's no good. DeLoach to rebound. Baldwin hit from behind and a steal by Gustafson.
With Jai Bailey in the starting lineup now, too, this is proof nobody's under 6'5". Goose has got long arms there. You saw his defensive prowess. Ooh. And Burton goes down hard. It did look like from at first glance, Kern was there for the charge. I'm sure we'll take another look. And Burton is slow to get up.
He needs help to get up, and that was a very hard fall. You set it down. Here it is again.
Nice job by Burton to come meet the pass, first of all. That's a charge. His foot looked like his feet were there. Here's the better angle. Ooh, okay. Thing about the block charge rule, it needs to change. It has to be on the gather. It's usually once they leave his feet, the defender can still move, and that's kind of those situations. Like Kern is actually a little bit still moving even when he's in the air. That's a tough call, but I wish they would change the block charge call. We don't need to harp on this all the time. It's just so hard for the officials, and it's dangerous for guys for that reason. Like, you shouldn't step into a guy once he's in the air and still be better, still be rewarded for that. I
agree with you 100%. You're absolutely right. We're talking about player safety here. I mean, forget about offensive defense. Like, you just should not be able to do that. I understand what you're saying. And how about when you have to brace your fall? How many times have we seen, players hurt their wrists, right? They're just trying to hold themselves up. Now, huge story here tonight, of course. Chris Mooney not coaching the rest of the season for the Richmond Spiders. He is awaiting heart surgery this upcoming Tuesday. It was announced last Friday. More on that in a little bit. Peter Thomas is now the interim head coach for the Richmond Spiders as Burton scores this one and they go up by 2.
Couldn't love his aggression more in this game right now. He is aggressive. He's playing downhill, trying to force the issue at times. We've seen him already make 2 layups. Obviously that charge call, which I didn't think it was a great call, but he's looking to put the onus on him and be aggressive in this game. And sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to impose your will against a VCU team that usually imposes their will on other teams.
DeLoach sticking with it, but he's not able to get it, and Grace has it for the Spiders. Early field goals here. 1 for 9 for VCU. Richmond's 2 of 4, and it's going to stay with the Spiders here. 7 straight misses by the Rams.
And some of them are really good shots, too. So you got to keep, the way they're playing outside of baseball, one's quick little 15-footer, there was an air ball. Mike Rhodes has to like the pace at which they're playing. He wants them to get up and down and play at pace, get it off the rim or out of the hoop and get up the court and play at pace, not taking reckless shots, but get into a rhythm and play early offense and get good looks.
He's got this VCU team on a run here. They've won 5 of the last 6. First place right now in the Atlantic 10. And a steal, Baldwin. Kern gets it knocked away. Here come the Spiders the other way. Jai Bailey, Burton for 3. Got a good look and he drains it.
This is a man that was shooting 24% from the three-point line in league play. That St. Louis game, that second half, he made 4 threes. It changed his whole perspective on things. That was such a confident look by him. When really I thought he should have caught it and tried to go dunk on somebody's head.
Right.
Instead, he shoots the open 3 and buries it.
He's got all of Richmond's points here to get things started. 7-2. They lead. None for 3. And he comes right back.
Yeah, he was 7 for 7 from deep against St. Joe's. He's still feeling it. Normally I would say, do you need that shot that early in the shot clock? Well, for him right now, go ahead.
Isaiah Bigelow's in. Now it's Grace who puts it up and in, and he hits for the Spiders. Off to a good start from the outside, 2 for 2.
It's so important to this team. We'd say it's easy. Make shots. That's great analysis, right? Well, no, some teams is more important than others. The way they play offense, that Princeton-based system where you space the floor, you want to have motion, you want to have back cuts, you want to have driving lanes, you got to make threes. As Kern goes to the 10. To do that and to be 2 for 2 early is critical.
There's slick Nick Kern, as they call him, and he puts it in for the bucket and the foul. We got a timeout.
I do look at this as an opportunity to demonstrate many of the qualities that we try to teach and instill in our players on the basketball court, off the basketball court. And I hope that I can demonstrate to them that while I'm very nervous and a little scared, that I can meet this head on, be a great patient, and show courage.
Heart surgery coming up for Chris Mooney, the head coach of the Spiders, this upcoming Tuesday at the University of Virginia Medical Center. Certainly serious, but expected to make a full recovery in 1 to 2 months. Peter Thomas, the acting head coach, in his place. First game back, or first game, I should say, for Thomas as the acting head coach. big win for Richmond over St. Louis this past week.
Down double digits in that game multiple times and into the second half, and found their way to just keep fighting, keep battling. I know Coach Mooney tuned in the final 4 minutes. He tried to stay away, but he came in the final 4, and he had to be so proud of his guys for what they did and how they played and how they shot the ball and scored. We, of course, wish our best with Coach Mooney and a quick recovery and a successful surgery. Look forward to seeing him back on the sidelines, but his presence was notably absent at shoot-around today, particularly his voice. He has that loud, booming voice and kind of drives his guys forward. And they even said it was weird for him not to be there. And each day they had a practice, it started to try to normalize. But in that game, too, to look and say, hey, this is Peter Thomas's team for right now. To look at his name in the huddle, look at his face in the huddle, and hear his voice is a very different thing as a player. I can't imagine it. And he's tasked with a very tough question right now. Tyler Burton has 2 fouls. He's got all 7. He's at 7 of their 10 points. He's on the bench right now. If that's Coach Mooney, we would know Burton wouldn't play. He's bottom 10 in the country in terms of 2-foul participation in the first half. So if you get too early, you sit. I wonder how long Thomas will keep him there and if he'll do something similar and keep there the whole half.
Johns misses on the jumper. The ball is knocked out of bounds. It stays with VCU. First off, I echo what you said about our thoughts and prayers are certainly with Chris Mooney and a speedy recovery and all going well next week for you, Coach. And you got a great leader here, though, in Peter Thomas, who spent 9 years at Campbell, the last 5 as the associate head coach. And a lot of experience there. So the coach was giving him a lot of responsibilities and running some practices in the offense. And so he feels like he can step right in here at least to try to do the best job possible in Coach Mooney's absence for right now.
And he played for Coach Mooney. He played here at Richmond and was the Dobo Director of Basketball Operations for 5 years after he got done playing. So he knows what the program is about. He also, as he told us, he knows what this rivalry is about. And he understands it intimately in this second game. It's not easy. You got St. Louis at home, then you go on the road to VCU. That is a tough way to start this thing out, but they obviously won that first game. Great cut.
Backdoor pass from Baldwin. Got it inside there for Zeb Jackson. Now it's Watkins for 3. Johns the rebound.
Defensive rebounding becoming a problem for the Spiders.
Baldwin misses on the 3. Rebound Bigelow for Richmond.
VCU's got 8-0 boards already right now, but 0 second chance points. Their shooting struggles continue, but their effort is still there.
Think about that for a second, what you just said, Don. 8 offensive rebounds already. They only average 7, and that's 3/40th. We're checking Richmond, excuse me.
Zeb Jackson, I thought this could have been a tie-up. We'll take a look. Good cut by Gustafson. He's got his hand there, but he's kind of his left hand kind of wrapped around him a bit in the back.
Richmond is 3/40th in the nation out of 350 teams in offensive rebounds as a jumper goes up and in by Roach.
Mike Rhodes puts his arms out and goes, what are you guys doing? Why he's saying that is Jason Roach comes in, 85% of Roach's shots are threes. He is a driller. The reigning SoCon Rookie of the Year last year when he was considered out before transferring here. He comes in looking to get threes off. He's got a great release and a beautiful stroke. That was bad communication. He was wide open.
Johns for 3 the other way for VCU.
Big answer by Johns. And Brandon Johns, transfer from Michigan, did not play, or did not go to shoot-around today, dealing with the stomach bug from food poisoning. He looked real tired and just watching him warm up, but he makes his first 3.
Nelson knocks down a jumper for Richmond. Didn't you have to deal with that too as a player before, back in the day?
I'll spare the details of what went down, but I won't shout out the deli that did that on 112th and Broadway to me. I was not too happy with them. But Thursday, I had food poisoning. Friday, we bust up to Cornell. I couldn't eat anything all day. We played Saturday at 2. I start the game. I'm not kidding you, bro. Within 1 minute, I was gassed. We go up like 6-0. They call timeout. I come over to the huddle. I remember Coach Joe Jones just started laughing. Since I was just so gassed when you can't eat anything and feel your body and think you're actually going to go out there and perform at the same level. I couldn't do it, but Johns looked pretty good. They got him an IV earlier. He made his 3. He comes out right now and looks a little bit tired as he gets there.
Michael Jordan didn't seem to have a problem with it.
Well, yeah. He's Michael Jordan. I'm a bum.
There's a foul. It's going to be on Bigelow that time for Richmond. Picks up his first. All right, so let's get you caught up here. Richmond 6 of 8 from the field. 75%, 3 for 3 from three-point range. VCU 4 of 18 from the field. 22%, 2 of 6 from three-point range. They got the rebounding battle going on here, 12-5. But again, scoreboard, 4-point lead for the Spiders.
The problem for the Spiders right now is they've got to get defensive rebounds. You cannot give this many second chance points. They're -10 in field goal attempts and think VCU is going to keep missing on their home floor.
None for three, no good. Fight for it, and it's picked up by Quinn for Richmond.
And Richmond is one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the country. Top 20 in defensive rebounding rate. They get over 76% of the misses. That's great, but not today.
Knocked out of bounds by DeLoach.
Without Burton in the game here with this lineup, I think you should try to play through Quinn a little bit again in the post. They tried to establish him as the game started. He doesn't have to shoot at that regard. He can play through him to see if they double. He can kick it out.
When do you think they bring him back in?
Well, as long as you're up, you can keep him. You can save your minutes. If things start to get ugly, here's Quinn going to work.
Quinn over to DeLoach. Count it.
And Jason Nelson says and one. That was a strong move by Quinn and nicely executed. They may force a double team if they do, especially the way the Spiders are shooting it right now. They've made 6 straight field goals. That could be huge.
7 for 9 from the field in this first half so far throughout the first 8 minutes. Watkins, high floater goes down.
And look at Nelson's yelling, "Yo, come back and help," because the press is on. We haven't really talked much about it, but again, VCU top 5 in the nation in defensive turnover rate. They're going to press you. The full court wears you down. The half court can demoralize you because they're so good defensively usually. On the ball, off the ball, their communication, they have great physicality with how they play as well.
That's a really good point, too, about just being worn down by the end of the game going up against this team as Quinn goes up with the up and under, that doesn't go. Got his own rebound and kicks it back out. Roach for 3. Front rim did. Watkins has it. Because at some point, you break down a little bit.
Yeah.
You certainly do more so when you play this VCU team than some others because of the way they press.
And it's not just physical, it's mental. Sometimes you look at him like, we're doing this again? And you got to keep battling. It's not easy. And Nunn is down hard on the floor behind the play. They do not have to stop it because he's not in harm's way. They can play on, and they do. Lee Cassell, the other official, standing down there. Mike Rhodes is upset, saying you can stop it. You don't have to by the letter of the law. Now they will because they're going to go the other way.
I agree with you, Dallin. The crowd is furious about it, but you had said it perfectly. He's not involved in the play right now. You do have his safety in mind, but it was a transition for Richmond, so they let it play out until VCU got the ball. Then they stopped playing. I know they're discussing that now with Coach Rhodes, but let's hope first and foremost that Jaden Nunn is okay. So they attend to him. He's up now on his feet. We'll take a timeout. We'll be back to Richmond right after this. Welcome back on this Friday night. Mike Corey, Dallin Cuff, Richmond 17, VCU 13. Now joined alongside our bracketologist, Joe Lenardi, here on this Friday night. Good to have you with us as always, Joe. And let me start here, of course, in the A-10. You're watching one team right now in VCU. How about Dayton, 1 and 2 in the league, and both starting to kind of creep up into the at-large conversation now, aren't they?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Mike, generally this time of year, more teams are playing their way out than in. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. And it allows some teams to maybe slip into the conversation that we weren't talking about. I spent a good amount of time today, in fact, on VCU, looking at the scenario, what happens if they win out? And certainly there's every chance for them now to do that and get to the Atlantic 10 final and lose. It'd be, I think, 26 wins, 25 or 26 wins. I think they would be very much an at-large candidate at that point. And the flip side, Dayton would be in the conversation as well. I don't think they've had as good a non-conference as VCU. And, of course, the two teams split their head-to-head on one another's court. But all this talk of the Atlantic 10 being a one-bid league may be true, but I think it's a bit premature.
This is kind of an odd question, I guess, Joe, but talking to whether it's Mike Rhodes or other coaches in their similar situation that aren't in Power 5 leagues or Big 6 leagues in basketball, it's hard to get teams to play you. Whether it be neutral, whether that be you playing at their place, they may not just want to play you. Does that ever factor in the committee that they only have so many club own opportunities because they can't just get them?
I mean, look. Everybody complains at the non-power conference level about not being able to get these quad 1 and quad 2 games that are so important to your resume. And when you're a VCU and you go out and schedule, Pitt, and Arizona State, you're hoping that those teams are going to be quad one opportunities, and sometimes it works out that way and sometimes not. Or maybe your best player isn't available during your MTV and you lose a couple of games that you didn't expect to. The margin of error is just so small at that level, and unfortunately for the Atlantic 10 in recent years, the non-conference hasn't gone as well as it has in other years, and that's why they've been on the bubble, so to speak, with bubble teams.
And that was that player you're talking about, obviously, is Ace Baldwin for VCU. Missed a majority of their non-conference, which was huge for them. He is the best player and most important player on their team. All right, A-10 aside, it's a big weekend, or second to last weekend of the regular season. What are the game or games you are hottest on as it relates to the bubble or seating at the top of the end, top of the bracket, if you will?
Well, like everybody else, I just have a fascination with the St. Mary's Gonzaga rematch. I happened to be at round one a couple of weeks ago in Moraga, so I'm anxious to see round two. The first one went overtime. But I think from a bracketology standpoint down tomorrow, keep an eye on Texas Tech. It's hard to believe, but as a ninth team out of the Big 12, they are legitimately in the at-large picture, and if somehow they were to make it, and that would involve beating TCU at home tomorrow, that's kind of my under-the-radar game, they'd be looking at maybe getting 9 out of 10 into the tournament, which is obviously unprecedented and, to my way of thinking, almost unthinkable.
That is pretty crazy. Joe, thanks as always for joining us. Have a great weekend, my friend. We'll see you again next Friday.
Thanks, Brackets.
All right, good to talk to him here. Tied up now at 17 with 9 minutes to go in this first half. VCU on a 6-0 run over the last 3 minutes. Baldwin.
It's a critical juncture of this game for Richmond. They just had given up some layups, a couple back-to-back turnovers. We've seen this playbook before with VCU being able to spurt ahead of them and take control of the game, whether that be home or on the road. Richmond's got to continue to defend. They've got to clean up their glass and get one chance, and the other side, they've got to get good shots. Can't turn the ball over right now. This is a critical juncture in the game.
I'm totally with you on that. And Quinn just picked up his first personal foul, but it's a 17 foul for Richmond.
Burton does come back in the game. Remember, their star number 3 in blue averages 19 a game. He started with 7 in the first 4 minutes and change, but also picked up 2 fouls. So we'll see if Mike Rhodes and crew try to attack him from the defensive end. You can get him a third, get him back to the bench, or get him playing some Ole defense and get some easy baskets.
Critical final 8+ here in this first half as Johns hits the first free throw. It's a first lead for VCU. Tomorrow on ESPN, the app will start at noon Eastern, highlighting 3 games with Virginia and North Carolina, beginning at 6 o'clock Eastern. Virginia Tech and Dukes at 8 o'clock, and then our Saturday primetime presented by John Deere. Just heard Joe talking about St. Mary's Gonzaga, 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on ESPN, the ESPN app.
And that first game was an all-timer down in Moraga. Gonzaga was up the whole game. St. Mary's didn't lead till, I believe, in overtime. It was a fantastic game, and St. Mary's pulled out Aiden Mahaney, one of the best freshmen in the country. That is going to be worth the price of admission or just watching at 10 o'clock. It's free.
That's right. Coming up tomorrow, this is a big possession here for Richmond. They started 7 of 9 for the game. They're 0 for their last 4. Now trailing. Floating up a shot is Randolph. It doesn't go. Here comes Josh Banks, who's seeing some extended minutes here early in this game.
Banks has defended well. Like all these VCU guards, he cuts well off the ball. He got himself a layup doing that.
Kern couldn't get it. The follow was there by DeLoach.
Smart by Kern. He attacked Burton off the dribble. Rip move, right baseline. Burton could not recover. Grace's help late. He didn't finish, but because of that rotation, DeLoach was wide open to lay it up.
Nelson goes baseline, runs into traffic, gets it out to Randolph. Burton steps back. It's a 3. VCU was on a 10-0 run. They were down by 6. DeLoach against Grace. Randolph hit is he puts up the three. They'll say it was deflected. He goes down. Here comes Baldwin.
Got to understand time and score there. Closing out so hard, maybe a shot fake driver.
Follow DeLoach. It's off the Banks miss. Timeout here at VCU. All right, guys, we'll catch up with you at the half. 23-17 here in Richmond with just under 7 minutes to play in the first frame. Rams are on a tear here.
A 12-0 run. Their longest run of the season to 0 is Radford. They had a 14-0 run against Radford earlier in the season. It has come down to a couple things. Turnovers for the Spiders, not getting very good shots. VCU out in transition. Also, the second chance points have been critical for, or the second chance opportunities. They have 12 offensive rebounds, excuse me. And look at that. Now, they're going to try to continue to play at pace. That's not a bad shot from Roach. Again, he's a driller. With that group, and I would like to see them go through the post with Quinn. He's had success trying to get the ball in the block, and they have not doubled. He's been able to score or facilitate a little offense from there.
Richmond has missed their last 8 shots from the field, and this one is rebounded here by Nelson. Talk about the offensive rebounding for VCU. 12 already. Their season high is 16. Still here in the first half. 6:17 to go, and a foul on DeLoach. That's going to be his second.
Only the third team foul, though, so they are not going to go to the line. But I like the thought, again, playing through Quinn, as now DeLoach has to come out of the game. 2 fouls. And Tyler Burton in and out of the game. Got to be smart with him with 2 fouls. But this is still a critical juncture.
It's Roach with Quinn, Nelson, Grace, and Jai Bailey, the 5 in the court here for the Spiders. Johns comes out there with the D. Now it's Nelson kicking it here for Bailey. Puts up the 3. That got deflected as well. It's a couple times that's happened here. Richmond's missed 9 in a row.
It's a heck of a closeout right there, but Jai Bailey's jump shot takes a while to get off. He's got to wind up. They close and get a block. On the other side, Ace Baldwin, first points of the game for him. One of the best league guards in the country, but he doesn't need to force it. He knows he's got so many pieces around him that he can let the game come to him.
It's a really good point. So many different players who can hurt you on this team. Baldwin with a jumper. It's an 8-point lead. It's the longest run this season for Richmond, or for VCU, at 14-0. That's that one time earlier this year as Quinn finally stops it with a jumper.
I think he's got to keep trying to play through him right now, especially with Burton out. We talked about how big it is for Richmond to make threes. They made their first 2. They've missed their last 6. Play inside out.
Quinn's 2 of 5 from the field. 4 points, 4 rebounds. Missing on the 3 that time is Watkins.
And then VCU, just in terms of their game right now, they're kind of getting the spots they want and the shots they want. Good move by DeLoach on the baseline, turning and knocking it down. Getting paint touches. That's a great cut. These guys cut at the corner so well. Great job by Banks. And Curran, great recognition on that drive. Right when he knew Burton had just checked back in the game with 2 fouls, went right at him. Of course, he didn't score, but there was an offensive rebound. This is the way they want to play. At pace, sharing the ball. Offensive out of transition or secondary break. Here comes the trap. Somebody's going to step up and want the ball.
Gustafson called timeout for Richmond. So they'll hang on to the possession here with 4:58 remaining in the first half. 6-point lead for VCU. And we'll step aside with them. We'll be back in 30 seconds. 6-point lead here for the Rams. Just under 5 minutes to play in this first half. Mike Corey, Dallin Cup with you here. Richard just took another timeout, though. Down, I got 2 left for the rest of the game. You talked about that drought that they had in game 1 versus this Rams team. They've already been on a big one here in this game. It got stopped, but it was 7 minutes and 4 seconds without a point.
Yeah, VCU closed that last game 9 minutes and 36 seconds. This game, 7 minutes plus. Part of that is a problem of losing your best player. Losing a guy that gets 19 a game with 2 fouls, Tyler Burton. And then it was their own mistakes, some self-inflicted wounds, and then a very, very good defensive team in VCU. Best in the league in defensive efficiency. Quinn's having his way, though. They have to keep playing through him. You're seeing why he was an All-Patriot League player last year, Lafayette, and why other teams, other high major teams, Pitt, Penn State, Virginia Tech, to name a few, Loyola Chicago in this league wanted his services. as a graduate transfer. Great feet, great hands.
He's got 6 points. Whistle to foul. Count the basket. It's Toby Lawal that just checked in a few moments ago. Chance for the three-point play.
And that's Quinn. Now, Quinn's got 2 fouls, so you're in trouble here. Quinn goes to the bench. Burton with 2 fouls comes back in. See them set that ball screen. On this weak side, it's Grace, I think, has to tuck in there. But the reason he can't tuck in is he's got the best shooter in the league in the corner there, Shriver. This is exactly what they went through in around with Coach Rhodes. So we're going to have this middle ball screen, and you're going to have Shriver in the corner. They're not going to be able to help down. You're going to have that lob, or you might be able to get downhill and finish because the help side is not going to be there.
Baldwin now you really have trouble down if you're an opponent, right? If Toby Lawal is all of a sudden making plays in addition to all the other names you mentioned as well.
That really is, you're right. There's a long list of guys that can hurt you, but that's facilitated by Ace Baldwin. High ball screen. Ace knows where he's going to be there, and Lawal's athleticism showed. We can just throw it up and let him go get it.
Nelson for 3. It's no good.
He banked in the game ceiling one against St. Louis, but you don't want to bank in threes. That's not a goal.
Baldwin kicks it for Watkins.
They're just going to keep going to it. That high pick and roll right there.
Baldwin hits a 3.
That's why Ace is Ace. I was thinking, not really the shot you need right now. You're killing him. Okay, never mind.
Well, and they had just missed their last 6 in a row from three-point range until that one by Baldwin. And it's starting to get in danger zone here, still in the first half. 3 minutes to go, 32-21 VCU. And where was Gustafson going with that?
Play off 2 feet. Jumps, I had no plan there.
None. Rebound Bigelow. So Burton's back in with the 2 fouls. Quinn is now out. He's got the 2 fouls as well. Bigelow pulls up and hits. They needed that.
They started 7 for 9, then they were 2, 3 for 13. But even that shot, there were 19 seconds of shot clock. Mike Rhodes would take that. If you're having Bigelow shoot a 2-dribble contested fadeaway on the baseline, you got to be careful. They've got to get better looks, and I really think you want to get into halftime. You're not trying to slow it down too much, but you've got to worry about getting good shots and running good offense and making this defense go side to side, down 9.
Foul on Gustafson. Rams are feeling it here in the first half. All right, thanks a lot, Phil. Tom, appreciate it. We got 2:26 away from halftime. You heard what Tom was saying about that. They got 8 different players that have scored now for VCU as well.
Yeah, they're showing their depth, and unfortunately for Richmond, it's sometimes a lack of depth. You see Burton get the rebound, but him and Quinn have been the most effective. Both are having foul trouble issues in the first half. And to Coach's point, like we associate with Richmond, the back cuts and the cutting and Princeton offense, but you got to make threes to space guys out. You got to respect that. You have to be chasing guys at times to get some of these cuts. It's not been a problem. They've taken them to the body. They've undercut them, and Grace getting foul going to the rim. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country for a reason, and they're very comfortable playing against Richmond because they do it all the time. Twice a year, every year, they know what they're getting. It's a very veteran group for VCU. Only a couple guys seeing it for the first time. John's a transfer from Michigan. Shriver, the transfer from Hartford.
Johns picks up a foul for VCU.
I also think Richmond hasn't run their offense a lot. We're talking about they're taking quicker shots. You got to make that defense work at times. Richmond's working on the defensive end right now. They've given up 13 offensive rebounds, and the problem with giving up so many offensive rebounds is the fact that it's not just they're not scoring off. They've only scored 6 points, second chance. It's that you're continually defending. It becomes demoralizing and physically, mentally exhausting to keep guarding.
Agreed.
I mean, it's coming from a guy that didn't want to guard. You know?
So you know all well about it.
Yeah, I'd be even more crushed. Can we please get the ball? I want to go shoot.
Baldwin scores it here for VCU. They're back to their largest lead of the game at 11. Richmond led early, 17-11. And all VCU since. Grace for 3. Back tapped out by Bigelow. Burton's got it.
It was a great flash by Burton to come to the ball, meet it, and then turn and attack the press. You have to make them pay for pressing. And Grace did get a wide open look.
Burton thought about the three. Nelson, he spots up, puts it up. That's no good. They've missed 10 in a row now from three-point range. That was the big key last game. They were 17 to 37. 37 threes in that last game of the win against St. Louis.
Well, 45% of their shots are threes. That's the most in league play. And they're only making it a 31% clip, which is 13th, second, third to last in the league. That's a simple equation. They take a lot. They're not making a lot. They're not bad shooters. They got good shooters, but you got to do it when the lights are on.
They were 3 for 3 to start, and they missed 10 in a row. Nunn fouled. We're going to call it offensive for the push-off. That's his first. Four turnovers for the Rams against 6 so far for the Spiders.
That's good for VCU because they've had turnover issues. They turn you over, top 5 in the nation in their turnover rate, but offensively, they're bottom 50 in the country in turning it over. They turn it over just around 21% of their possessions. That's very high, but they've been good today.
This Richmond team, as we said, coming off the 81-78 win at home versus St. Louis. They've won 3 of the last 5. The other 2 losses, a double overtime loss to George Washington by 2, who's playing much better this year, and so is LaSalle. They lost on the road by 6. Driving in was Nelson. It doesn't go. Offensive rebound, Roach. Back to Nelson.
Great help by Ace Baldwin because there was a communication issue, so they left the ball, but Ace was the backside help man, came over to contest Nelson. Nelson's been very aggressive. He was when he came in last game, coming off an ankle injury, missed the game prior to St. Louis, but he had 17 points all in the second half, and he played with aggression. He's doing the same thing today. Unfortunately, not having results, not making the shots. The athleticism and physicality of VCU is different than St. Louis.
Crowd rising to their feet here as the Rams will hold for the final shot of the first half. 8 seconds to go. Here's Baldwin. Deep 3. Got it.
Don't go under that. Biggest lead of the game. Nelson goes under the screen, runs into it, gives Ace a wide open look. And this has been a dominant last 12 minutes by the Rams. We'll take a look right here. Here's Nelson. He steps up, but then he goes right into the screen. I don't know if he's trying to go over it or under it. He runs right into it. He's got to get up on Ace's body and go around it, over it. If you're going to go over it, if you're going to go under, you get under and then snap back to his body.
As the Rams with a 14-point lead, Dallas going to be really tough to try to come back on this group considering the amount of weapons that VCU has here.
Yeah, without a doubt. Richmond started this game exactly what they wanted to. Burton came out with 7 points in the first 4 minutes. He's their pro. He's their star, 3 in blue. He gets up 2 fouls. Game starts to change. And then Ace Baldwin did what he does. Ace has 10 points, 2 assists, but it's everybody else. I mean, Jalen DeLoach, who's got 2 fouls, is on the post right now. He also has 6 points, though. Nunn's got 5. You go down the list. It is a collective that can score on you by the Rams. It's also a collective that defends you and makes it so hard as they've made everything difficult for the Spiders. This is the one place they have had joy. Quinn getting into the post, scoring. Oh, right there. Got point blank. You just need to finish that. But he's been able to exploit advantages on the interior.
Yeah, he has. He's got 6 points in this game. Now 3 of 7 from the field. The leader is Burton with 7. That's on the Richmond side. For VCU, Baldwin's got 10. A host of other players have scored, though, in this game. 8 different players have put up numbers. Baldwin for 3, and it's rebounded by Burton.
Smart by Burton. I think that the Spiders need to run some offense, get to the second, third side, and at times get Quinn into that post. Have been really effective. Shot selection will be important.
Quinn now works it in. The hook is good.
Beautiful.
Baldwin up top for Johns. On a spin. Couldn't finish. Grace has it.
Smart by Johns, too. He got a little out of control. He's capable of driving that, though, but Quinn was going to give him the 3. Could have taken it. Instead, he really got a better shot. Just lost his footing a little bit.
Here's a steal. And fouled. That's going to be on Tyler Burton, he said.
That's tough. A tough situation for any official. That's the 3rd on Burton, and Burton saying, what did I do? But you kind of have to call that. Even if it's incidental, you can't have a guy be taken out and you lose a fast break opportunity. And Burton is trying to skip in front of his legs. He's trying to move to the side of him, and he clips his leg. Take a look. Not intentional at all.
Yeah.
But it's hard not to call that. I mean,
it's barely praised him, but you're right. I mean, it's DeLoach.
And he's going to stay in the game. You see Peter Thomas took him out when he got his second foul just under the 16-minute mark in the first half. He hasn't scored since then. He had 7 points in the first 4 minutes. We're talking about Tyler Burton here. And now he picks up his third. You got to leave him in the game. This is the critical juncture here. If you take him out, you could end up getting this to 18-20, and then it's over. So he's got to be smart. He's got to be a fifth-year senior and stay out of foul trouble further.
And Peter Thomas, to your point, I looked over and he just kind of turned and let out a little sigh of just like, what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
You know, our top players got 3 fouls and he didn't really do much, but it was the right call. Here's Johns messing up 3. Tapped around. Grace got it to Gustafson.
Good job by Grace to come in and get a tap. You've got to find a way to clean up their glass, because that's been a huge problem. They've given up 12 offensive rebounds. 14, excuse me.
Yeah. Trying to create. And his pass is intercepted by DeLoach.
You leave your feet without a plan against VCU, you may as well just give it a turnover.
8 turnovers now in this game for the Richmond Spiders. Johns got it. Now 2 things here. You had Richmond come back from a 15-point deficit in the last game at home against St. Louis. They're capable. They've done it twice this year. Big-time deficits. If you're VCU, you've got to keep the pressure on, right?
I do think, actually, that game just happening midweek, it's an easy rallying cry for Mike Rhodes. Hey, guys, they just did this. Now, granted, they were at home, and they made 13 threes in the second half. But they made 17 for a game. They're capable of it. You've got to keep the pedal down and keep looking into Quinn for the Spiders. He's been able to exploit that over and over again.
How about his positioning, too? He kind of repositioned. He got right inside there, literally right underneath the basket in front of DeLoach.
Great observation. At first, he didn't like where his balance was and how he had the ball, so you kick it out, and it's called repost. He reposted, sat on him deeper. Nice job by Jai Bailey going right back to him, so he had better position and then draws the foul.
So now DeLoach picks up his 3rd personal foul for VCU. DeLoach's performance in the last game, Dallin, was overshadowed by Nunn. Because Nunn had 31 points, but Jalen DeLoach had 19 and 7 rebounds. I mean, he's been outstanding at times this year, too. One more for Quinn for the Spiders tomorrow on ESPN and on the app, of course. You got 3 games, big ones here for you. Number 6, Virginia and North Carolina. That's going to be at 6 Eastern. Duke and Virginia Tech. That's at Cameron Indoor. That's at 8. And then finally, we've been talking about this one. St. Mary's and Gonzaga again at 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. ESPN, the ESPN app. College game day in Spokane to start the day. 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific. Don't miss it. Big day in college basketball.
Yeah, first time since 2009 that game day is in Spokane. Talking to Mark Few about that this week. It's such a community event. They're so excited to have them back there. But the biggest game on that list, that game's for the WCC regular season. That's a big deal. But North Carolina right now is on the outside of the bubble looking into the tournament. They're 0-9 in quad 1 games. They have 2 quad 1 game opportunities remaining. Great pass, great finish there. Against UVA, against Duke, both on their floor. They have to win at least one, I think both of them, to feel good going into the ACC tournament. If they don't need to make a run, maybe even to the final, to have any breathing room. Because you have to be able to, who'd you play and who'd you beat? They played a lot of teams, and they didn't beat it. They don't have any bad losses, but they don't have any good wins. You got to start getting things to hang your hat on.
Right, what did I see at the end of the night in terms of a quad 1? It was like
0-9.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we had a lot of opportunities, but, yeah, you didn't win any of them.
So. Well, that's where the mid-major gripe, or I shouldn't say mid-major, the non-power 6 gripe, and VCU has some of it. St. Louis, Dayton have it too. You can't get that many opportunities. You don't have that many chances, that many bites of the cherry, whereas high majors do. And if you don't take advantage of it, you should be punished. Well, the reason their resume isn't what they want it to be is they were missing Ace Baldwin for the majority of November in some of those key games that they would have lost in non-conference, or they played in non-conference. Look at the numbers with and without him over the last 2 seasons. He's suffered an injury last year, held him out for a while. Look at the difference in points per game, their field goal percentage. Also defensively, he sets the tempo for them on the defensive side of the ball, picking up the point guard a lot of times. They've changed that to none in recent weeks, but he still is such a key guy for them. And you would think the committee would look at some of these factors. They do look at player availability when you're looking at teams like 67, 68, 69, 70. So if VCU gets in that discussion, I'd hope they'd focus on Ace not being there, what the team looks like now versus then, and some of their quality wins. To win on the road at Dayton is so difficult. This is a team that may not get an at-large bid, But I think they're better than some teams that will get them because the full body of work may be better in other conferences that present different opportunities, and maybe you have different player availability situations.
Kern is fouled, and he'll head to the line. I agree with what you're saying, and I think, you know, there's you can discuss it all you want, right? The net. I mean, that's the number sometimes that's going to be talked about when you're saying, oh, is this team a tournament team? Well, I think there's so much more to it, like you said. In their effort to try to make November and December games more important, they've started to forget about what you just said about, hey, are you playing your best basketball now? Yeah. How have we done over the last month or two? What happened? We had some injuries. Like that, all that stuff's got to come into play. And unfortunately, it doesn't. And and it hurts teams like a VCU or a Dayton, who are both in the conversation right now. With Dayton's net is 65, VCU is at 75, 1 and 2 in the conference. Rebound Bigelow. Don't forget Big Monday coming up for Champ Week. North Carolina, as you talked about, Joe Lenardi. They're going to try to play themselves into that conversation a little bit more here for the tournament. Right now, on the outside looking in against Florida State. 7 o'clock, Baylor and Oklahoma State's at 9. It's Big Monday. ESPN and the ESPN app. Trouble here for Nelson. Foul's going to be called, going to be bailed out.
Just to finish your thought as the crowd boos the foul call there, and Nunn's going to have 2 on him now, is that I hope that the committee goes back, and because it used to be the final 10 games was a thing.
Yeah.
How are you playing your last 10? They took that out to not weight stuff too much to the back end. The difference is now with the transfer portal and so much movement, you have teams drastically changing from November to March. And if a team's playing really well in March, it didn't play well in November, I would rather have that team versus a team that starts strong and sputters down the stretch. So I think they have to assess those metrics. The other piece they have to do, and every coach I talk to and every pundit, the net is not perfect. As the shot clock goes down, Burton's going to get it up. The net's not perfect. We know that. It's better than the RPI, but it's not perfect at all. It's got some flaws. What we don't know is we know the recipe. So we know the ingredients. We know the things they look at. Your wins and losses, your efficiency metrics, your margin of victory, all these. We know the things. They're all listed on NCAA's website. What we don't know is the recipe, meaning how much do you weight different things? What do you do? I know they don't necessarily want to tell people that, so they don't go and try to game the system, but some people have already kind of figured out how to do some of this stuff. And I think the transparency is helpful, is my point.
Burton on the offensive rebound puts it up and in for the Richmond Spiders, right? You have no idea what the weight is to each category. I'll tell you, one of them we know is one that's weighted heavily, which I don't think should be, is how much you beat a team by. If you're supposed to beat somebody, okay, and now you want to run up the score to get better ranking. Like, that's ridiculous. So a win's a win. I don't think just because you beat them by 30.
A win is a win, but I also think how you play matters. That's why I like the efficiency stuff being mixed in, because I want to know how you play the game. That is usually reflective of how you played in the game and if you played well or not, and if you can sustain that over time. And what that means is Nelson just threw it away.
John's got the bucket. There's a steal and the easy 2 for Jackson. And VCU now is pouring it on. It's 48-30. Under 14 minutes to go in this game.
But to your point there, so maybe you would call off the Dogs even if it's your rival in 6-7 minutes. You probably shouldn't. You probably should continue to play, and especially a team like VCU that's trying to creep to the bubble.
Quinn lost the handle, and he's going to head to the free throw line. He was fouled. Johns picks up his 3rd. You know, agree or disagree on this too. I know we're getting into a lot of this, but it's coming up towards the tournament. Is that I think more weight should be given to beating a good team, whether that's at home or on the road. That is when you have a slip up, because most teams are going to lose to someone throughout the season that they shouldn't, and you always get knocked down too far for that. It's like women's basketball doubleheader comes Sunday afternoon here on ESPN. We've got Olivia Miles and number 10 Notre Dame taking on Louisville. That'll be at noon. Then Indiana and Iowa, top 6 matchup there in that one. Coming up on Sunday, College Game Day as well, ESPN app. Coverage begins with Game Day at 11 a.m.
Some of those versatile players in the country right there. Olivia Miles, triple-double. She's already got 1 of the year. She is an absolute star, the sophomore from Notre Dame. And, of course, Caitlin Clark. A lot more folks know her name, and rightfully so, because she is a bucket getter, but also fills up the stat sheet.
Burton for 3.
It's a tough shot. Yep. You're trying to come back. I get it, but I keep saying it. I think you want to try to get Quinn touches in the interior, and that's been your best bet. That's been the easiest way for you to score or facilitate offense. And Tyler can get that shot anytime he wants, but we mentioned his need to be efficient in this game. He made his first couple shots. He's 4 of 7. Foul troubles really took him out of rhythm. He made his first 3. He was 7 for 7 to start the game in the first 4 minutes.
Richmond's missed their last 12 from three-point range. Under 13 minutes to go in this game. Watkins, and it's foul. VCU trying to win 4 in a row here. Keep their standing atop the Atlantic 10. The Dayton Flyers right behind. VCU's 12-3 right now in conference play. Dayton is 11-4. There it is. You got Fordham and then St. Louis. What a year it's been for Fordham. And how about Duquesne as well in the 5th spot right now? They were picked dead last in the A-10 in the preseason. We know how much sometimes preseason rankings mean, but what a job by them and Keith Dambrot.
A lot of times it's us idiot media members making the picks.
Yes.
That doesn't really help. But that is a testament. Look how quick they got that ball out of rim and up. Holy moly.
Look at that. Watkins responds after the Bigelow bucket the other way for Richmond, and it got it right back. It's a 17-point game.
That's to be careful. You can't cross half court and pick it up. They're going to press you right away, trap you right away. Seb Jackson, look at Coach Rhodes coaching him up here, saying you can't slap down. You got him in the dead area there. You have to be big, wide, active hands on the ball. There's no reason to slap down at it. You get big and shadow it because there's nowhere he's going other than turn it over or calling a timeout. Great job by Watkins, and Grace bails out. He knows all he's going to do is give him an and one.
It's a great teaching point there by Rhodes, and as you said, Dallin, too, the minute you make that motion sometimes, that's what's going to get called. Then you come up, you pop it up, from underneath. And I mean, this VCU team does such a great job of getting steals and turning you over.
11th in the nation in steal rate. 13.2% of their turnovers are live ball steals. And of course, that's why it helps them convert their offense. Convert into offense so easily because they're live balls so frequently.
Malal was calling the foul. He goes out. Ace Baldwin, number 1 in white for VCU. 9th in the country in steals per game with 2.48 coming in. And top 20 in the nation in assists as well. 2nd in the A-10 behind Yuri Collins of St. Louis. And leads the nation. See them next week. As the floating runner is good by Jason Nelson.
He goes down hard, but that seemed playoff 2 feet. We talked about earlier. He went in there out of control early in the first half there. He jump stops, elevates straight up and down, little floater. Well done by the redshirt freshman. Local product.
Yeah.
John Marshall, an absolute basketball powerhouse.
Richmond's always got a couple of those every single year from right here in town. And here is Baldwin going to the hole, and he scores it for his 12th point to lead VCU.
With his weak hand, too. He is so crafty around the rim.
Burton. And he's fouled. It's going to take us to a timeout. Welcome back to VCU, everyone. Mike Corey, Dallin Cuff here on this Friday night. And, this is tough. It's always a tough environment when you come here. You and I have been here year after year. And, again, just kind of up against it. And credit the Rams for doing what they do here at home.
Absolutely. But let's get John Tobias in the mix here. Let's go, John Tobias. That guy / stage manager extraordinaire. We love him.
Simmons
Rich is in the deal over here. Rich, you're too far away for me to grab you. Sorry. Saturday selections. Here we go. Okay, things we want to see on our network here on the family of ESPN networks. Texas Baylor, the battle atop the Big 12. The battle atop the Big 12. It is the toughest conference in the country. Kansas and Texas are battling. Baylor's right there right now. That is an outstanding game that's going to be on ESPN at 2 o'clock. Under the radar, we've talked about this before earlier in the game. UVA at UNC. UNC is on the bubble right now. They desperately need a quad one win. That would give it to them. UVA lost midweek to BC. Jaden Gardner may be hurt. Underdog pick. Texas A&M, folks, is balling. They are second in the SEC, in firm position in second in the SEC, on the road at Mississippi State. The lines are not out from our boys and girls in Vegas, but I imagine that A&M will be an underdog, and I will be looking at what that number is. Mississippi State is on the bubble. It's a must-win game for them, but I think it's very interesting. 3:30 on SEC Network. And then Kansas, after losing 3 straight, and people are getting a little concerned, including myself, as Jalen Wilson's supporting cast wasn't exactly showing up. They've won 7 of 8. 4 of those on the road, including road wins against TCU, Kentucky, Kansas looks like they can repeat, man. Jalen Wilson, now those guys are playing with him, and Juwan Harris has been aggressive. You know, Kevin McCullers being a great two-way player. Grady Dick's one of the best freshmen in the country. That team looks dangerous.
They really do. We shall see. 36 points to the paint here for VCU tonight, to the 20 for Richmond, having their way as Grace is blocked inside by DeLoach. On the run, Baldwin for three. Got it! Largest lead of the night. Going to try to add to it with Watkins. Timeout Spiders. 24-point advantage for the Rams. 24-point lead here for the Rams with just under 10 minutes to play. We were talking about this here. For the last 16 straight years, the Atlantic 10, multiple bids from this conference. Still can happen this year, as you talked and heard from Joe Lenardi earlier.
You said they're one of only 6 conferences that can say that, too, which is pretty impressive. I did not know that. Found that actually surprising, but it's such a great heritage and success in this league. Last year, obviously, Richmond had great success. They run the table in Brooklyn. They go and beat Iowa, the biggest upset, really, because people had Iowa in the Final Four. But when you look at this team this year, there's a situation, as Joe Lenardi just said, with VCU currently with a net of 75, and you look at Dayton's a little bit higher in the 60s, that they could continue to play their way into the mix and maybe get an at-large bid. As we've said already, now I want to make this point too with the net rankings. We've already said the metric is flawed. We don't understand the recipe of it. We know the ingredients. There's some issues as the shot clock runs down here again. Burton looking to put it into Quinn.
Oh, three-pointer goes up
shot by Randolph. The NCAA is not a slave to the rankings though either. We've seen them at times, whether it was NC State 3 or 4 years, 4 years ago now, had the rankings in the 30s, but their strength of schedule was in the 330s. They wanted to make a point. You can't play nobody and get in, so they didn't get in. But they put teams with 60 in the 60s in the mix as well. So you never know how it's going to play out and what they truly value in that individual committee makeup. It is a group of people, and it changes year to year. So you don't always have the same thought process and same angles. They say they're the same metrics, but what actually wins out can change year to year. So it will be interesting if VCU wins out and say gets to the final and loses, or Dayton wins out and gets to the final and loses, what that means.
And this is how difficult it is for these teams in this conference, and we heard it from Coach Rhodes earlier, is scheduling. Because take this into account. They won the 3rd most amount of non-conference games of any conference in the country this year. Yet, where's the net and all that stuff, right?
Well,
because it's hard to get games when you're this good in this league because nobody wants to play you.
Yeah, and VCU's brand, it's like the reputation precedes them. The other high majors know they're going to play high major level athletes that have an ethos in terms of how they play, and they're difficult to beat. And the last 5 times they've played a high major team here at VCU, the Siegel Center, they've won 4 of them. So it's really hard to get a home game. But as he told us, he was looking for neutral games against big teams and couldn't get any love. And I actually, if I'm the high major, I'm probably not playing it. Because you do have 20 league games outside of the Big 12. You got 20 league games. You got your MTE. You only have like 5 or 6 games to play with, and you want to make those guarantee games and win them. So I understand where they're coming from too, but it doesn't help the sport of college basketball. You need more big marquee games. You need better teams playing at different parts of the year that can be promoted and showcased and get people to watch and talk about college basketball. Because when we don't do that, we become a 3-week sport.
Yeah. Quinn with 14 points for Richmond. And you're right, every single year we hear about, hey, why don't you let that team in? How come that, why do we have to take the 8th or 9th best team in one of the power conferences who's 16 and 16 or, 17 and 15? Like,
well, I'm not here to poo-poo that either, though, too, because at the same time, like, the Big 12 is loaded. And if they get 9 teams, I'm not complaining. What I would like to see is the teams that aren't in those leagues find a way to have more opportunities to play those games. And I don't know, and it may take some creativity in the A-10, maybe they should play less league games. 16 league games, be able to have more wiggle room to try to get some of those teams to play, so you don't have to play as many conference games if that's not going to help your league. I think the ACC should do it too. The ACC with the 20, they should go to 18. They're not going back because of contracts and stuff, and they got a conference network now, but it would behoove them to play 2 less and play 2 big out-of-conference games now.
Burton Skyden gets the bucket for Richmond. Hey, remember the bracket busters? You know, why do we have that come back? I mean, that's the thing. All right, this team's playing great. They're playing great. Put them together. Help their records out. Let's show the committee. I love that.
That was great
in the season.
That was great, and I think that's partially went away. Well, I'll leave it out there. I'm a company man, so I'll leave it out way. It went away.
Gotcha. Foul here on Burton. It's going to be his 4th. He's had a couple of tough ones. One coming up the court, inadvertently tripping the VCU player. This time he was on the floor, and he got called for the foul. 62-43 here with 7:32 remaining in this contest. Mike Corey, Dallin Cup with you tonight. Top scorer for the Rams, Baldwin. He's got 17 points. Richmond, Quinn's got 14. Burton has 12. And it's been an uphill battle this entire second half. Largest lead has been 24 by VCU. Nunn puts it up and in. One thing I want to mention with VCU is that we talked about this earlier in the year. But think about this. This is going to be their 23rd consecutive season with a winning record. Obviously can't have a losing record here this year, 21-7. So 23 in a row. It's phenomenal, the consistency that this group has had. And I know they're eager trying to get back to the tournament, because we said this too before. They've made 2 tournaments the last 5 years, but they had a forfeit because of COVID, right? So they really only got to play in 1 game, and that was against a pretty hot UCF team at the time when they had a close matchup and lost that game. So, you know, they're eager. Their fans are excited to try to see if this group can make some noise. And right now they're going to hang on to this top spot in the A-10. They hold on here for the final 6:30 of this game.
The cool thing about the A-10 tournament this year, as we've already gone through the at-large piece of it, is because nobody is comfortably in and nobody thinks, hey, I'm working for seeding. I mean, there's all to play for, man. It is everything on the line in Brooklyn. I'm not saying that normally you don't have that approach, but the mindset difference when it's we have to win to get in, that creates a very interesting dynamic.
And what do you decipher from this list? And we'll get back up there for you, the conference champions. Over the last 7 years, there have been 7 different Atlantic 10 conference champions. Think about that for a sec.
It's really hard to win a league title and then go and win the tournament. But anytime you win 3 and 3, the Bonnies did it in 21.
That's it. Over the last.
But anytime you go 3 and 3 or 4 and 4, as Richmond had to do last year, it's just tremendously difficult. And if you've already run the gauntlet and you're the first seeded team, it's kind of what I was playing to before. You obviously want to win a title, but if you won this league, you were pretty much going as an at-large.
Right. 7 of the last 7 that have been different. I won't put it past them that we might have an 8th different one this year, the way that Fordham and Duquesne are playing, right? They've got just as much of a chance as anybody.
How about those Fordham fans? They're going to be streaming into Brooklyn.
That place has been rocking Rose Hill this year.
It's small. I played there, but you can't hear with 10 people in there. Never less 2,000.
Right. Our NBA Saturday primetime matchup on ABC and the ESPN app. We got All-Star Game MVP Jason Tatum, Eastern Conference leading Celtics, taking on Joel Embiid, and the Sixers, who are just 3 games back. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Crosstown rivalries. This is certainly one of them.
Nice job breaking the press head up by Nelson and throwing it down. And this one has a ton of juice behind it, but when it's been played in the Siegel Center, especially in recent years, it has been lopsided. It's been difficult for Richmond to compete the way they do at home when it's their fans and their environment. They've definitely fared better in those games. But you know, all those rivals we listed are intense to say the least.
Yeah. Nelson all the way to the hole. Knocked out of bounds. Hasn't been a lot of easy baskets. I mean, we just saw the one there for Richmond. You know, they're always good for a couple of backdoors, right? Moving the ball, get some pretty good looks. Here's Quinn, who's even scored with a foul, but credit this VCU defense. I mean, they've only given up 47 here tonight.
That's all. The only thing that's been easy today. It's not easy. It's just Quinn's good, and he's big, and he's physical. And they're not going to double. They're going to make him score one-on-one, and he's done it today as Johns goes for the head fake. And good finish from the former second-team Patriot League All-League player at Lafayette. But this VCU team, we always talk about turnovers and the full-court pressure. It really is just a very good half-court defensive team. I mean, top in defensive efficiency in league play, top 25 in the country. They turn you over, but they make you work for everything and to get good looks, and it's not easy. They clean up their glass well. Quinn, that's why they can stay in so many games.
Yeah.
Win so many games, too. And this is what I'm saying, stay with anybody.
Quinn and Burton combined have 31 of the 48 Richmond points. Burton is the only one averaging double figures in scoring a game this season, as a bucket is scored by Nick Kern for VCU. He's averaging number 19.
Good flash by Kern to flash middle and make himself available. Look like Ace is going to be in some trouble. But again, these VCU guards play and cut very well off the ball.
Quinn backing his way down in on Johns. Johns deflected it from the moment. Quinn got it back and puts it up and in. He's got 19. Baldwin, who's had 41 career double-figure games now, has got 18 in this game. The only Rams player in double figures. Everybody that's seen time on the court tonight has scored, except for Schreiber. Interesting enough, who is a great shooter from the outside.
But his presence changes how the defense has to play. We saw it in the first half with that middle ball screen. When he's in the corner, you can't help off him. He's leading the conference three-point shooting. You can't help. You have to space the floor to stretch off him to know where he is. So that does affect some of your defense, some of your rotations, and some of your principles. So even though he doesn't score, he still can affect the game. Also, he's got phenomenal hair.
Yes, he does. Foul as Burton's going to head to the line here. Going to be on Kern. And we'll be back. VCU by 17 points. All right, Phil, thanks very much. Yes, it does. We got 3:53 left of game time here on this Friday night in the Atlantic 10 Friday Night Showcase. 17-point lead for the Rams.
Always like to lift the curtain for folks. It is a 17-point game. VCU has dominated. They are atop the A-10. In the studio right now, the question is how many minutes of Phil to get to that second game, to get to that next game? Is it a 6-minute segment? What are we going to talk about? What games are we going to preview? That's what really matters. And if somehow you cannot fill, will there be fouls, timeouts, reviews? What happens down the stretch?
You think Phil and Tom were thinking we were stealing some of their job talking studio tonight? You know, the conversation we had throughout this game, pretty much?
They probably thought these guys are, they're filling on air. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Tyler Burton. He's got 15 now.
The sad part for Burton is he's had 7 in the first 4 minutes. Came out exactly the way we talked about at the beginning of the show that he needed to. Aggressive, efficient. He got a drive to the basket, knocked down a 3. He was rolling the 2 fouls right away as that somehow finds a way to Schreiber.
Schreiber trying to go alley-oop, and DeLoach taps it in.
But for Burton, when you get in foul trouble, it takes you out of rhythm. And he's so key to this team. It takes him out of rhythm. It took their team out of a little bit of rhythm. Then they started turning it over, had some tough shots. And VCU had 13 offensive rebounds in the first half. They weren't making shots, but they were allowed to get more and more opportunities. And eventually that added up, and VCU was starting to capitalize.
2 missed threes there by Roach and Nelson. Roach doesn't have a lot of arc on his three-point shot, does he?
It's pretty flat, but he does shoot the heck out of it. But when you do that, it cuts down your margin of error. It's got to be more exacting. They do have this technology called Noah's Arc. It's a system that everybody's uses, pretty much the NBA, and a lot of colleges use it too. That actually, as you shoot it, it'll say the arc, like the arc of your shot, 48, 44, and I believe 44 degrees is the exact, or whatever. They say the degree number. I forget what it is, but it's optimal. This is not an optimal lob by Shriver. Pour some sugar on me, Def Leppard. But DeLoach is big enough to get up and tap it in.
I saw a guy that looked like Shriver in the airport the other day. I was going to take a picture of it and send it to you and be like, Shriver's son.
you know what that guy in the airport can't do? Shoot the heck out of it like Shriver can. That guy's one of the best shooters in the country. So the dude you saw in the airport, probably a really nice guy. Good hair. Not as good a shooter as Shriver. That I know.
Definitely not. Boy, let's go back to game 1 of our Friday night showcase at Dayton, right? When the Flyers looked like they were going to win that game. 45 seconds to go. They were up 4. Shriver gets a steal, dribbles it in, hits a 3. And then the rest of that was history. A couple turnovers and a steal. But
that was his 6th 3 of the game, too. I mean, he came in there just stroking it. And it was also Anthony Gray and his staff. They went over it. We're not going to leave him. Here's what we're going to do. And his team didn't execute. If you make a mistake, he makes you pay.
DeLoach with his 4th personal for VCU. Twin, who has equaled his season high with 19 points, has a chance to go over that here at the free throw line with just 2:17 left. Now let's take a look at how Richmond is doing on the road, brought to you by Conrad. 23 in the first half, 39%. 32 here in the second half, much better, but time becoming a factor in this one.
Well, they've scored the ball better, but unfortunately haven't defended requisite enough to get them into the game. I mean, VCU shooting 54% in this half, so slightly better. And when you're up like that at halftime, you're happy to change. You're up by 14. You can exchange baskets. Neither coach wants that, and Coach Rhodes wants his team to probably defend better up, and Coach Thomas would want his team to defend better to get back in it. But that was what had happened here. Is both teams are getting the shots they want, kind of the spots they want, and partially because they played through point a lot. They were fine giving up those 2s as long as they didn't give up 3s, and they were scoring on the other end. VCU was kind of okay with that exchange. Oh, Nelson's limping off the floor.
Oh, up at half court.
Remember, he missed the game prior to St. Louis with a ankle injury.
Jason Nelson.
You see as he limps off. And he had a huge impact on the game. 17, and they went over to St. Louis all in the second half. But he missed that last game before against LaSalle, which was a loss. That redshirt freshman, you hope that he's all right. You don't want to see him be missing more time as they come down the stretch here. He's important to what they do.
All right, so Bailey is in. He brings it up. Minute 45. Richmond still down 13. Bailey. Grace, the extra pass. Gustafson for 3. And the rebound by Watkins, and then kind of shoves into Gustafson. He was in there in the space initially first. Going to be called for the foul, but
this is part of the problem with this Richmond team. Unfortunately, they just don't make enough 3s. They take a bunch. First in the conference, 44%. That's the way this offense is predicated. But they're shooting 4 of 20 right now, and that's kind of been their issue. They're making 31%. They're shooting 44% of their shots. The 31% in league plays 13. And again, they're good shooters. Gustafson is a 40% three-point shooter.
Right.
He doesn't take a ton, but he's wide open there. He can't get it to go. They were just down 13 at the time. That's significant to some if that three-pointer goes in.
I mean, that was how they won the other night. They had 17. So 4 today. I mean, that's been the story. As Watkins is able to convert, pushes them back up 15. VCU's had 5 players now in double figures. 9 players have scored. Free ball. Burton, no. Out of bounds off of VCU. And VCU's been right in their games here, Dallin. So this is like back to our discussion for a quick moment about how have you fared lately? You know, what's the committee looking at? Well, what I'm looking at is to start the year, they only have 2 losses. 3-point loss to St. Bonaventure here at home, and a 4-point loss to Dayton here at home, which you think they typically could, defend home court because it's so tough to win here. So St. Bonaventure, they feel like, hey, maybe we could have got that one. Dayton 4-point loss. So, okay. They're playing pretty darn well.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And Dayton's a quad 2 loss. That's not really it's not a bad loss at all. Dayton's got a 65 RPI. It's the highest in the conference. The St. Bonaventure loss at home hurts. You really don't want quad 3 and quad 4 losses, and that's tough. But that's a lot of teams have those type of pock marks. I mean, Clemson has 3 quad 4 and four quad 3 or quad 4 losses, and they still find themselves in the bubble.
When this final minute ticks down, they're going to have won 12 of the last 14 games.
Well, we said this before. They really should reinstitute the final 10 games as being a metric they look at. With the transfer portal, so much turnover, teams are so different year to year. You really have a chance to improve even more than in years past from November to March. And I think they should focus on that, and that should be rewarded how you're playing late, because those teams are different. And also, we want teams that are playing better to be in the tournament, not teams that limp in and are buoyed mostly by some non-conference wins early in the season, which, as valuable as those are, if all things being equal, I want the team playing better at the end of the year.
Since December 11th, they're only going to have 3 losses. At Duquesne, who's playing unbelievable this year.
That was a buzzsaw that night, too. Duquesne just shot the heck out of it.
And then the body game at Dayton. Foul.
Oh, there's your Phil kill. Those guys in the studio just fist pump right there. I shouldn't speak. Coach Crane wants to talk. He wants to get in the game and break it down. He says, we're there, we're doing it. Maybe it's a lazy person like myself. Like, Coach, we're doing this all.
You're going to have to wait for the half.
I'll take a break. Yeah.
The next game.
That's why he's very successful, and that's why I'm me.
Stop. Well, partner, we'll be back in St. Louis next Friday for the Flyers and the Billikens.
Should be a great game. It was a very impressive win by Dave when they beat the Billikens on their floor. St. Louis coming off obviously a midweek loss here to Richmond. But should be a great game. Can't wait. Then St. Louis home to Loyola Chicago tomorrow. Dayton home to George Mason.
Yep,
2 teams will be battling for seeding still, too.
2 top teams in the conference. 2 of the top 4 teams in the league. Remember, the top 4 get a double bye in the upcoming Atlantic 10 Conference Tournament in Brooklyn, New York. The second week in March. Winding this one down here tonight as Bigelow puts up a 3. It's no good. The rebound Rams. Watkins going to run out the clock. And VCU is going to come away with a 15-point win tonight. 73-58, the final over their crosstown rival, the Richmond Spiders, to improve to 22-7 and 13-3 in the Atlantic 10. They remain in first place in the conference, and they've won 12 of their last 14 games.